All right, hey guys, it's Tyler, and welcome back to Happiness Built. Well, welcome back. There's no subscribers to this channel, but I wanted to start documenting things, and this is something when I was on my run today, I was reflecting on this that I want to start creating legacy pieces of content, meaning things that I want my kids to hear or see one day. They might not choose to do it anytime soon, but I want to leave a record of things, and that might include writing books or making videos like this one. But I just want to start documenting things, and I thought this was a good opportunity. I watched a video this morning by Professor Rock, who I think has a great YouTube channel, a great storyteller, and works really hard on his videos. His team does a good job. And I'm going to borrow an idea from him today for this video, talking about Father's Day and Father's Day songs. Songs about fathers and sons and relationships with father and sons. We just had Father's Day this past weekend, but for me, the cool thing was it was this past week. And one of the things that my family did a year ago was they decided the week leading up to Father's Day that we would do certain things. And one of the things was Dad got to pick what we watched for TV each night. And so I took the opportunity last year to introduce my kids to some of my favorite shows when I was a kid. We watched Perfect Strangers, Full House, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and they actually really liked all of them. And we started watching some of those shows regularly, and it has continued through the year. So we've gotten through several seasons of those shows, which was super fun. I wanted to do something similar this year, and we did like a Superman week where we watched Smallville, Lois and Clark, Adventures of Superman and Lois. And then we're going to go to the new Star Supergirl movie, I guess comes out next week. So that was kind of fun, just to do something kind of themed. It wasn't a big deal. But because we did that during the week, the kids were aware Father's Day's coming up. And so they all made me handmade cards. And actually, I should show you this. This is really cool. All right. So this is Reynolds' playset, his bedroom playset. If you're unfamiliar with the show or the old website Homestar Runner, where Strong Bad answers emails, they had a little segment about cheat commandos, and we still watch this from time to time. And Reynolds is the one that never gets to go fight. And they say that there's a playset with his bedroom, but they never actually made playsets. It was just a gag. But my son made this for me out of cardboard and paper. It's super cool. So Father's Day was super cool this year. In addition to that, they took care of me on Saturday. We went and got cheeseburgers at my favorite place, and then they made me wings on Sunday night, and even biscuits and gravy for lunch. It was just a really fun weekend. I didn't do anything. For me, uh, the way to celebrate is do less things instead of more things, and so it was just hang out at home, watch TV. That for me, that's like a perfect weekend, and so it was really really nice. Anyhow, with that in mind, I saw a video this morning by Professor Rock where he talked about his favorite father's songs, or and talked about how his father had passed away, and that he had a good relationship. And it was fun just to hear him talk about his father. And I thought, I haven't really done that, so I have to pause this for a second. All right, I think I'm recording again. Sorry about that. Um, just got a phone call and I needed to take it. But as he was talking about fathers, I thought there are a few things I want to talk about the father-son relationship and about my own father. My father definitely has been one of my heroes growing up. Our younger son got his middle name, and I've just always admired my father for a number of reasons. His work ethic, his commitment to his family, and his commitment to his faith and to God. And I think all three of those things are significant and a big part of who I am. And so I appreciate the example that he set for me. Personality wise, we're quite different. My father's very quiet. He just works in the background and gets things done. I'm not a particularly social person. Didn't play a lot of sports or anything growing up, and so while he supported me in athletics, it was a little different. We didn't go out regularly and play catch and do stuff like that. But as he got older, he did start running, and we ran a few races together, and he's been very supportive of everything that I've done, and I really appreciate the relationship we've had. He's one of those persons where we might not talk for a while, but when we do, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. And especially we like to talk about like religion and church kind of things. And actually, that's really cool because when I want to talk about those things, I know I can call my dad and get his take on different things, and that's been a really cool thing for me throughout my life. Thinking about my own relationship with my sons and what do I want to pass on to them, I thought, well, a lot of the same things. I want my kids to be independent adults. I want them to learn how to work hard. I want them to have faith and spirituality in their lives. I want them to value family relationships. And so I want to see that be passed along down the chain. Now, having said that, I was curious when I watched the Professor of Rock. He talked about some of his favorite songs, and I wasn't familiar with many of them. And so I did a search this morning and wrote a blog post. It's up on the website Happiness Built, and it just talks about my favorite Father's Day songs. So you can just search on that site for Father's Day. And there aren't a lot of songs about fathers or about sons or about father-son relationships. There's more about just parenting in general. But there were a few, and let me just give you there were a bunch, mostly country songs, and I don't listen to a lot of country music. And there were a lot of songs I'd never heard of and a lot of artists I'd never heard of. But of the ones I had heard of, here are what I'm going to deem my honorable mentions for my list. These are some good father-son songs. But didn't make my top six. So we have Father Figure by George Michael in 1988, Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin, and that's the original. Now, actually, someone redid his song or covered it, and that's I'm going to talk about that coming up. Vienna by Billy Joel, which is like a song where he gives advice to his son, teaching him to appreciate certain things. I love that. With Arms Wide Open is Creed's from 2000, where he just learned that he was going to have a child, and this is all he wants for his son, so that's a good one. Green Day has a Father to a Son. It's a new song by Green Day, and I had never heard it before, so I listened to it, and it's actually pretty good song, more on the acoustic side. And then Father and Son by Cat Stevens is a classic, but I've never really loved that song. And then Father to Son by Queen, which was a song that I'd heard once or twice before, but not a huge fan of the song. So those are my honorable mentions. Now from there, I wanted to share with you some of the songs, and some of these you'll know, and some of them you probably won't. But for me, number 6 is a song called Satellite. Satellite by Collective Soul. Now this came out in 2004, and it was written talking to his son, promising that he's going to protect him, he's going to guide him, he's going to be there for him throughout his life. And it's a softer track for Collective Soul. They're a hard rock band, but this is a more chill ballad. And it's just a beautiful song, and so I threw that in at number 6. Number 5 is a similar one. It's a newer song. Well, newer is relative. In 2000, this is a Peter Gabriel song called Father, Son, Father, comma, Son. And this is a tribute that he wrote to his father, which is really beautiful and touching. And then his father loved the song and requested that Peter sing it at his funeral when he passed away, and he did. And Peter sang the song, and it's just it's a touching song. It's also just fun to see Peter Gabriel as a little bit older, just sitting at the piano. It's just a really heartfelt song, and that's the kind of song I was hoping to find, were these tributes to fathers. So that one's a beautiful one. Now, I mentioned Cats in the Cradle earlier. Obviously, Cats in the Cradle is a classic. Thinking about the advice that you can give to your son, and you don't want them to turn out like you want them to have a better life. And a wonderful song. But when I first started listening to music in the 90s, I was already in high school when I first started listening to music. We just didn't listen to a lot of popular music in my house. And so the first version of Cats in the Cradle that I ever heard was from a band called Ugly Kid Joe. And it's a little bit, it's the same song, same melody, but, a little bit more edge to the voice, more of a rock song. And I love that version. I think it's beautiful. I like the way that they did it. And so that made it as my number 4. Now, number 3 is another just beautiful song, and it was probably written about that same time. I actually don't remember the year, but this is Ben Folds who sang "Still Fighting It," and that's the one. Good morning, sun. I am a bird, and he just talks about these things that he sees from his son, and sorry that you got so much of me in you that you're turning out like me, and he keeps saying apologizing for that. But again, this is a song that actually we listen to in our home quite often. We're big Ben Folds fans, and it's a beautiful song, but it's also just wonderful to hear a father talking to his son, and that's something that Ben Folds did so well with songs to his daughters, or daughter Gracie at least, and to his wife or wives. Sadly, he has the most romantic songs of all time, and then has been divorced several times, which is kind of tragic to me. But I love his music, and it definitely comes from his heart, and I love that. Number two is one that was on the Professor of Rock, his channel, and I'd never even thought about the song before. I listened to it on the radio. I love the song. It's a pretty song. But I'd never thought about it, and so I looked it up. I watched the video, and Mike and the Mechanics with the Living Years is an incredible song, and it's someone who's lamenting that they didn't get to tell their father how much he meant to him, and show that appreciation while his father was still alive. And part of the reason I'm making this video is I want that out there. I don't know if my father will watch this or if I'll tell him about it. But I love my father, and I'm grateful for all he did, and I do tell him that, and so I don't have this same regret or lament that they had with Mike and the Mechanics. Um, but a great song, and if you haven't listened to it recently, I recommend you watch the video. Just go to YouTube and watch the video because it's just really touching. My number one song is a father to son advice song by one of my favorite artists of all time, and most people don't know this song, even though most people do know Phil Collins. But in 1989, he wrote a song called Father to Son, giving advice to his son. And musically, it's incredible. I fell in love with the music just because it's a really beautiful song, really well put together. But then the lyrics are great too because he truly wants the best for his son. Now, I know that his son became a musician and followed in his footsteps to some extent. I don't know what their relationship's like, but I love this song and highly recommend it. If you haven't heard Father to Son by Phil Collins, it is a fantastic song. So that's my top six. I just wanted to do a quick countdown similar to Professor of Rock. One day I want to make cool videos like him. I'm actually on my channel Chasing Junk. I do this with 80s nostalgia kind of things, and I work hard on those videos, and I'm learning. I'm getting there, but I've got a long ways to go. So just wanted to put this out there for you guys now just because Father's Day is a really awesome holiday in our home. I know most people don't even do anything for Father's Day, but I think that's too bad. And I wish I was a better son and did more for my father during this time. And maybe this is a reminder to me and a kick in the pants that I need to do better at showing appreciation and telling my dad how much I love him. So I'll leave you with that.